blood pressure is composed of two parts. We have the systolic pressure, which is where your heart is contracting and thus forcing the blood to go throughout your arteries. And then we have the diastolic pressure. The diastolic pressure is whenever the heart is relaxing. So it's after the contraction and it's getting ready to contract again. So 120/80 is the normal blood pressure for people, but there are many different circumstances that lead to a change in blood pressure. Exercising and very rigorous activities use up a lot of energy in the body. And so to maintain homeostasis, the body's reaction is to raise or increase the blood pressure in order to distribute oxygen and nutrients at a faster rate throughout the entire body. So once the blood leaves the heart, it enters the arteries, goes down into the arterioles and all the different smaller vessels that it goes to, and then somewhere it goes into your capillaries, which is where your oxygen exchanges between that and carbon dioxide, and then from there it goes to your veins, and your veins lead right back to your heart. So for this, we will need three things. One is our patient. Two is our blood pressure cuff in order to put around their arm. And third is our stethoscope in order to hear the blood pressure itself. So to begin with, we're going to have the patient sitting down in a chair and allowing them to relax. Next, we're going to wrap the cuff around their upper arm here. Usually having them raise their sleeve gives a better reading. But you want to get the cuff just snug around there. You don't want it too loose because then you won't be able to get enough pressure on the artery in order to get a reading. And you don't want it too tight because that'll apply too much pressure and it'll skew your results as well. So now that we have the cuff on the arm, we're going to put the chest piece of the stethoscope into the bend of the elbow. And then we're going to have our earpieces in our ears so we are able to hear the pressure change. So once we have the cuff on our arm, we're going to have our earpieces in our ear, the chest piece in the bend of the elbow so you're able to hear the pressure changes. So now that we have our blood pressure cuff on and we have our chest piece in the bend of our elbow, we are going to look at our gauge and we're going to compress the bulb and make sure that the valve is closed. And we're going to compress it so that our gauge goes up to about 200. Of course, this works whenever it's around their arm. And so from there, once we get our pressure all the way up to about 200, we're going to slowly open the valve so that it will begin releasing pressure. And then we are able to get our systolic and diastolic numbers from that. As you are releasing the pressure, you'll hear a very clear tapping sound, and that tapping sound will be the indication of our systolic pressure. You will hear a variation of sounds as you're going through it, and the very last sound that you should hear is more of a whooshing. And whenever that sound is done, that is your diastolic pressure. After recording both of your numbers for your systolic and diastolic pressure, you just release the rest of the pressure that is in the meter, and you take the cuff off, and you have successfully recorded blood pressure.